studio is Arthur Dong. He's a professor at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business. Here we are again, more tit for tat. I want to get your reaction to China's latest reaction to Trump's tariff pressure. I mean, it seems as if the more the United States side builds on 200 billion more, China's coming out and saying a whole lot more in response.
Yeah, this is starting to devolve into a tit-for-tat race to the bottom. The United States and President Trump just announced today he's ratcheting up the tariffs to a possible $200 billion of additional tariffs. China has got to respond to that. The United States is not going to humiliate China. China is the world's second largest economy, and certainly China is going to use whatever sort of instruments it has at its disposal to respond at this latest salvo being fired by President Trump.
What kind of instruments could we see that you're talking about?
Well, in addition to sort of tit for tat, toe for toe, reciprocal tariffs on a broadening a variety of American products, certainly China has the wherewithal to find both tariff and non-tariff barriers to existing American companies that are doing either directly or indirectly operations in China. And so I think we can expect to see perhaps more of these sort of actions, being placed on American companies, who, by the way, many of whom have been doing very well in China business-wise. And what's left out of this equation is the very, very large trade and services surplus that the United States has with China. And so China hasn't really talked about this. We've got over 350,000 students from China residing here in the United States, partaking in education. And so that could be potentially disrupted as well.
You mentioned companies, U.S. companies. Are you talking companies like Apple? We've heard reports that Apple CEO wanted to make sure that his products were okay and trade was okay. And then now we're also hearing about Tesla. Are you thinking that we could see big U.S. companies that have a big stake in China?
Absolutely. I mean, the obvious companies would be like the Boeings of the world, certainly, the GEs of the world, and then you'll have all kinds of even service businesses like Starbucks and McDonald's feeling some of the heat as a result of potential fallouts of a growing and potentially destructive trade war.
What about the thought that Trump is just using this as a negotiating position, and he's trying to really put the pressure on before that July 6th deadline? Can you come away from that?
Yeah, without a doubt, I think this is a part of his negotiating style. Just a few weeks ago, as we recall, it seemed like both sides were heading towards a negotiated settlement, and that China was both offering carrots in terms of an additional $70 to $100 billion of additional purchases of U.S. goods, and that President Trump had announced that he was willing to recede from the fight over ZTE and take ZTE off the sanctions list. So the market's calmed as a result of this growing sort of distinctive feeling that there was going to be resolution, and now at the last minute, doubling down.
And we see the markets react to that as well.
And the markets plunged today.
All right, Arthur Dong, always great to hear your insight. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
We'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you.